In the final days of the Second World War, Japan stood on the edge of collapse. Cities had been burned to the ground, resources were nearly gone, and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had shocked the entire nation. Inside Tokyo, tension filled every military office. Some leaders believed that surrender was the only path left. Others believed that surrender would disgrace the nation forever. That conflict led to one of the most dramatic events in Japanese history, the failed coup attempt against the emperor in August 1945. The plan was led by a group of desperate young officers inside the Imperial Japanese Army. These officers refused to accept the emperor's decision to end the war. They believed fighting to the last soldier was the only honorable choice, and they convinced themselves that stopping surrender could somehow save the empire. Fear, pride, and frustration drove the officers to launch a dangerous gamble. The goal was simple but extreme: take control of the imperial palace, stop the surrender announcement, and force Japan to continue fighting. The coup began late on the night of August 14. The officers moved quickly, using the confusion of wartime Tokyo to their advantage. They surrounded the palace grounds, cut communication lines, and searched for key government figures. They even tried to find and destroy the recording of the emperor's surrender speech, which was scheduled to be broadcast the next morning. If the speech was never aired, the officers hoped the military would rise with them and reject surrender. But from the beginning, the coup faced problems. The plotters believed the army would join them, yet most commanders refused to support the rebellion. Senior leaders understood that Japan had no strength left to continue the war. Food, fuel, ammunition, everything had been stretched to its limit. Continuing the fight would only lead to more death, more destruction, and no victory. Without high-level backing, the coup began to collapse. Inside the palace, loyalty to the emperor proved stronger than loyalty to the rebel officers. Guards who were pressured to join the uprising stood firm. Some were threatened, but even then they refused to betray the emperor's command. The officers soon realized that people around them were choosing duty over desperation. Their plan depended on creating unity and shock, but instead it created confusion and resistance. As the night passed, the rebellion lost momentum. Key officials who were targeted escaped or hid long enough for loyal units to respond. When word spread that the emperor's surrender order was legitimate and final, the rebellion lost any remaining sympathy. Even generals who had once encouraged fighting to the end now stepped forward to shut the coup down. They knew that disobeying the emperor would destroy the country in a different way. By early morning, loyal forces surrounded the rebels. Leaders of the coup understood that the uprising had failed. Some surrendered quietly. Others took their own lives, unable to face the shame of failure. The palace was secured, the recording was found safe, and the emperor's voice was broadcast to the nation for the first time in history. The message was calm, sorrowful, and final. The war was over. The coup failed because the rebels misunderstood the reality of Japan's situation. Military leaders no longer believed victory was possible. The nation had endured unbearable suffering, and people were exhausted. And above all, the emperor's authority remained stronger than the anger and fear of a small group of officers. When the moment came, the country chose peace over destruction. The failed coup of 1945 is remembered as a dramatic reminder of how close Japan came to further chaos. It shows how dangerous desperation can become, but also how powerful a single decision for peace can be. In the end, the rebellion collapsed because Japan, even in its darkest hour, followed a path that prevented the country from falling into civil war. The emperor's message was heard, the fighting stopped, and the long road toward rebuilding the nation began. If you enjoyed this video, then like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel.